Greetings and welcome to Pop's Collection. I'm Ron Tweedy. Joining me is Pops, and today we're going to be wrapping up the Moon Knight Disney Plus series, and we're going to talk about episode 6, which is Gods and Monsters.
Welcome, everybody. Glad you're here. To some of our listeners, they will say, thankfully, that it's the end of episode 6. So I was surprised today when I went to church. One of the people that play in the church band with me asked me if I had watched Moon Knight, and I said yes. Mm-hmm. And they said they really liked it. And so, because we were in church, I didn't try to do any arguing about it or anything. But, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I'm not really sure how I feel after episode 6. Mm-hmm. I did think that it was a good episode. I liked a lot of the special effects in there, and I really liked Layla as the avatar for Taweret. Mm-hmm. You know, I thought that was really a cool, you know, definitely almost Wonder Woman-like.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, yeah, we made that similar observation, particularly Wonder Woman 1984 with the gold armor, very similar.
Yes.
And the wings too. So
yes, definitely. But episode 6, we kind of start where we left off at the end. Harrow releases Ammit. We've got Stephen in the desert, which is the Egyptian hell part, and Mark is in the field of reeds. You know, so we kind of start in that area, and Taweret, I can never say her name right, but Taweret, she wants Mark to enjoy his being in the field of reeds, but he chooses that he wants to go save Stephen. And so we get that, and we get a bunch of stuff going on. It was a pretty action-packed episode, don't you think?
I do. Yeah, I agree.
And I think it kind of came to a good completion at the end, but the battle with Ammit and Khonshu, and you know, we get Moon Knight and Taweret, you know, their avatars fighting, and Harrow, and it gets pretty messed up there, because Harrow does kill all of the avatars for all the other gods, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I guess we learned when Layla releases Khonshu, I guess Taweret tells Layla that they can put Ammit back in, seal her. It takes more than one avatar to do that. That Khonshu would not be able to do it by himself with Mark or, you know, Moon Knight. Or in this case, we saw Moon Knight and Mr. Knight in this battle. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I did think the characters that they used were interesting. Was it a large gator, if I'm not mistaken, for Ammit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, I don't know, Khonshu, looks like he's just bones, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so I found it interesting how he was able to, in the end, best Ammit, but, you know, only with help, because you would think that the gator was so much more massive that it had the advantage in the battle, you know?
Right.
So, but I thought that the CG was really good on that.
Yes.
in the battle part,
Yeah. Agreed.
and how I thought that the story, the end of it, flowed pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any issues with it as far as, well, this is the kind of series that you really can't take your eyes off the screen. You'll miss something if you're not careful,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, your opinions?
Yeah. I mean, it was fine. We have, a couple things set up. One thing that was noticeable, prior to the end of the final episode airing, Disney clandestinely changed the title instead of series finale, season finale. And so they've announced that, there's going to be a second season to Moon Knight. And they kind of set that up at the end. So we one thing at the height of the battle that ends up happening that we don't see is that there is a third person that takes over the body of Mark Spector / Stephen Grant that both of them are unaware of. So
correct, yes, and we do get that kind of at the end, that teaser.
Right, exactly. So
right, well, which just brings me to, like I said, you have a couple of people that you follow on Twitter,
okay,
that are MCU, and I noted a lot of other people on that Twitter talking about Moon Knight,
mm-hmm.
and how somebody had mentioned that Oscar Isaac wasn't going to come back for a second season.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
No, but I mean, they don't have to necessarily have that because they've now set up
Layla.
Yeah, exactly. As another character that they could follow. So,
That is true. That is true. Well, I just found it interesting. There was quite a few different things they were suggesting also that Moon Knight would be in the new Blade reboot movie.
That stands to reason.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. But, then would Oscar come for that? Would he go for the movie maybe?
Right. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, he's done quite a few. He's been that character in Star Wars, for the final trilogy.
Yeah.
That he played there. And
Yeah.
I think he would do good. I'd be interested to see how that would play out,
Sure.
But okay, so the story went fine, and like I said, we got Amit sealed in Harrow's body,
mm-hmm.
and then we got Khonshu trying to convince Mark that he needed to kill them both.
Yeah.
And Mark was like, I'm not killing them, but you need to release us from our, being the avatars. And so we kind of got that at the end, where they had a release. And then for some reason they chose to wake up in the hospital again, in the asylum,
mm-hmm.
And then decide that was not where they wanted to be. And then next we get back to the bed. And the only bad thing, well, there were a lot of bad things, but the bad thing for me was that from beginning to end, I now am trying to sing Engelbert Humperdinck's Every Day I Wake Up, Then I Start to Break Up, Lonely as a Man Without Love.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck with that song in my head for days now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it can't go away.
Yeah.
So, but hey, like I said, so it seemed like everything was okay. and they're free. Now they can go about their life. And we actually got a vision of the goldfish tank again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a mid-credit teaser there,
Mm-hmm.
which we learn about, what's his name? Oh, Jake Lockley.
Yep.
So, and we had Harrow and Conchu in the back of a limo.
Right.
And we kind of just hear silencer go off. So
Yeah. Right.
they make the assumption that Harrow's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when they do things like that, it kind of leaves you to, you know, like when we had with Hawkeye,
Right.
and Kingpin,
Yeah.
we never saw him actually die.
Right.
So it leaves it open.
Yep.
For interpretation. So, anything else that you would like to say about this particular episode before we go on?
Go on to what?
Things?
Yeah, about how, like, are we going to talk about something else on this episode or just the episode itself? I mean,
well, you know, it is a wrap up of the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, this is like, we're not going to have another episode for final thoughts, you know?
Right.
So, you know, I just thought if there were quite a few different things through this. And again, I'm wondering if, because the person at church binged watched them and watched them one right after another, if that made a difference in as far as how she was affected by it, and if that's why she liked it more, because the story flowed a little easier. I don't know. But you know, it just leaves it open. This series, 6 episodes, and 3 of those episodes we hardly had Moon Knight at all.
Yeah. 2
of them we had it at the very end, and 1 not at all.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, this was definitely, I'm going to say, your basic origin story. It would be like a first movie in a trilogy of movies, I think, you know, because they really had to do a lot of character development with his dissociative identity disorder, you know, so I think that laid more into the story than the action part of it, you know. So, but I thought it was pretty good. I'm still gonna keep an open mind about it. If it ever comes out on DVD, I will purchase it. But so far, there hasn't been any of the Disney Plus series that have come out on DVD. So
yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever get the opportunity to see any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would give it a shot, you know, watching it, you know, one right after the other type of thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe a couple a day for 3 days, you know, where the story would flow more readily.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, the other sad news that I heard was that the producers of this were going to be producing the new Fantastic Four movie. So,
okay.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. You know,
yeah.
I was kind of hoping for a really, really good Fantastic Four movie. So we'll see, I guess.
Well, it doesn't mean it can't be, you know, sometimes, you know, given the material you
have to work with.
Yeah. I mean, you could just, you know, yeah. I think that, you know, for instance, I think that Sam Raimi was much more suited to writing a Doctor Strange, or, you know, doing a Doctor Strange story than he was a Spider-Man story. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yes, and it was a pretty good story. it was not. I'm not. We don't really need to talk about that. We already did that last week, but we didn't go in depth into it, and we will later on down the road. But you know, I'll reserve judgment on that. And like you say, maybe these producers will do a better job with the Fantastic Four. And it still, I didn't notice who the director was going to be, so it was just the producers that they were talking about producing the F4. So, but other than that, would you watch this again?
No.
Would you say that it was the worst Disney Plus or worst Marvel series that you've seen so far?
Yeah, this is the worst Disney Plus series, by virtue just to the fact that there's no connection to any other Marvel property at all in this thing. And it's a standalone story, which, sometimes that works well, sometimes it doesn't. To me, I have no connection to any of these characters. And like you said, from a storytelling standpoint, when the titular character is not featured in half of the episodes, well, it's not really a thing for me. So,
right. I tend to agree with you on that. Again, I would just say that if it ever did come out, and probably my luck, it'll be the only Disney Plus series that'll come out on DVD. But I mean, I would like to see it in sequence, and see if I get a different view of it. I mean, I have quite a few DVDs that I really are not my favorite. But again, just because they're part of my collection, I've seen them at least once. I would say too that the Blade trilogy, which was standalone, I think that was highly successful. And I would say that at the time, Blade wasn't a real well-known Marvel character.
It's different though. My point being is that every other Disney Plus series that we've been seeing is connected to the
MCU.
Right? There are things that happen in those different series that either have characters from other series, where you get the strange alchemy, where you have characters colliding together, and it's interesting. It's like, for instance, WandaVision, where you have both Wanda and Vision, but you also have Darcy from the Thor series. You have Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel. You throw them all together and you get an interesting story, even though I think it's, like I said, a well-told story, but not a good story. That's a different conversation for a different day. Same thing with Loki. Loki, you have characters that are just, concerned with Loki's universe, but at the same time, if it wasn't for Loki taking out the TVA, you wouldn't have the multiverse problem that we're dealing with. So to me, that extra connection is completely missing from this particular one, and I think it suffers from it greatly.
Yes, and they're really, the rumor, I guess I would have to call it, because I don't know if it's true or not, that Moon Knight would be in the new Blade reboot. This series probably would have been a little better if there was some kind of a lead into that that would make you. And I guess there could be, and we just didn't see it because it won't be revealed until you get to that movie. I don't know.
I guess.
I mean, it's a thought, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, when we saw when the Multiverse of Madness, and we discussed that, there were times in that movie where I would like, oh yeah, and I would explain it to your mother where that came from and how it twined with that. But maybe that would be that situation if we got to a Blade movie. Although I doubt that your mother would go with me to a Blade movie
Mm-hmm.
because most likely it would be rated R.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, all the others were,
Mm-hmm.
and we also had that issue with the uh, Venom properties, and also I think Morbius is an R-rated version too. So
Is it?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is. Although I haven't seen it and I'm not sure. I know it's going to be coming out sometime in June or July, if I'm not mistaken. So I have it on my list of things to pre-order when it gets to the pre-order stage. So,
Mm-hmm.
but again, this was a tough one, to stay connected to through the whole thing. And like I said, if I had to watch it one episode a week, I don't think I would do that again. Definitely not.
Yeah.
But anything positive to say about the series?
I mean, it's, the special effects and everything. The people are directed well. It's not, that part's fine. But
right. But I did hear a comment from somebody talking about the fight scenes, how they didn't think they were all that great. And then I saw another comment. Well, the guy says, well, it's not end games, so it's kind of, I felt like this was kind of a made for TV series and not really, it never seemed like it was, going to be like an epic thing,
it doesn't have to be. But, the fight between Amit and Khonshu was, pretty epic.
I thought it was, but
and they just because it's made for TV doesn't mean that they can't have good fight scenes. I mean, Falcon Winter Soldier, that was probably the highlight of the
yes.
series. So,
oh yes, well, that's one that I would definitely watch again and again.
Yeah, I'll watch it again.
But as far as this goes, it, like you said, no connection to the MCU. And I don't think that they advertised that there was any connection to the MCU, did they?
No, but with every other property, it was connected, so there was an expectation there at least.
Probably, you're probably right.
Yeah, and who knows? That might be how they're going to go forward on that stuff, because we'll find out in about a month when Ms. Marvel premieres. So,
yes, is it that a month away? Really?
Pretty much.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. I hope it's better than Moon Knight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't really have to try hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's definitely ways for them to screw it up. I mean, my expectation is that, the video game, the Avengers video game that came out, I guess it was a couple of years back. They actually, I think, did a really good job in, debuting and portraying Kamala Khan as Ms. Marvel. And I thought they actually did a really good job. And so there is a way for them to actually, do this right. And I could see a number of ways for them to screw it up. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah. But there is a solid base for them to work off of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. You say there is going to be a season 2, huh?
That's, well, I mean, you could infer that because they changed the wording on their promotional material. Instead of series finale, season finale. That's what the presupposition is, or the supposition is.
Okay. Well, all right. So then will they be dealing with Jake Lockley, you think?
Who knows?
I mean, what will you watch that when it comes out, the second season?
Maybe. I don't know.
You're so full of comments today.
I don't. It's
It's not.
it's exactly how I feel about the whole series. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It's fine, but
it was not very thought provoking, I have to say.
well, I mean, there's some things that are actually, I mean, the whole idea about the Egyptian pantheon of gods, how they continue on to this day, kind of similar to the Norse gods on Thor's side. I mean, you can have both of those. I think that's an interesting thing. I think, dealing with a protagonist who has severe mental disorders is interesting. I mean, there's lots of interesting pieces about it, but to me, it's like, I don't know, it's not really connected to anything. And,
Well, I felt that the whole series was a little disjointed,
yeah,
that they had a lot of pieces that they could have, gone in a direction to make the story flow better than it did. And they didn't. So, I mean, I'll watch it just to watch it, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to like it, Okay, well, that's it then.
sure.
Got nothing else to say. I'm sure our listeners, hey, if you got a different opinion, feel free to voice it.
Yeah.
Send us an email or, write something on our page.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you.
Sure.
Okay. So
right.
That's it then.
All right, cool. Let's wrap it up.
All right. Do you want to give it a rating?
We didn't give the other shows a rating, so
okay.
I'm not going to bother.
Let's not even waste the time.
No.
All right. Good deal.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next week with something else. And until then, goodbye. God bless.
Goodbye. God bless. And tell your friends.